Wow, what a video and what a tribute. I'm honored, number one, and I'm going to enjoy this because I saw Roger Penske here today, and this is probably going to be the first time that I can actually start and finish before Roger Penske. So it's a pretty good feeling here tonight. But it's an honor and a privilege tonight to help induct Betty Skelton into the Hall of Fame. If you know who Betty Skelton is, you're probably wondering why she isn't already into the Hall of Fame. And if you don't know who she is, you're probably going to think I'm describing a character out of a Marvel movie. But Betty was a real person who had a real positive effect on aviation and automobiles, on General Motors and Corvette, and on American culture and women's role in it. As you heard in the video, Betty is known as the First Lady of Firsts. The ones mentioned in the video only scratched the surface. Let me give you a few more of her very long list of superlatives. She became the youngest American to fly solo at age 12. Think about that for a moment. The youngest American to receive a pilot's license at 16. In various airplanes, she set world speed and altitude records by the time she was just in her early 20s. Yeah, wow. She won the Feminine International Aerobatic Championship 3 years in a row from 1949 to 51, the first and only one ever to do so. She was the first woman ever to compete in the stock car flying mile at Daytona in 1954. The first woman ever to drive an Indy car. Think about that for a moment. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I know, right? Unbelievable. At Daytona Speed Week in 1956, she set 9 sports car records for speed and acceleration in a Corvette, along with Zora Arkus Duntov and John Fitch. Yep, and she set 4 different land speed records for women at Bonneville Salt Flats, including driving a jet engine dragster 315 miles an hour in a flying mile in 1965. Yep, where she averaged 277 miles an hour in a 2-way run. You have to do that both ways there. Also a record. It wasn't just that Betty did all these things, it was how she did them. She had absolutely no fear, or more accurately, no time for fear. For instance, as she completed her record-setting run at Bonneville, her jet-powered dragster got airborne. Okay? Now that's not optimal at any time, let alone at 300 miles per hour. Can you imagine? But she managed to get the car down, under control, and bring it home intact with the record. Yeah, unbelievable. When asked if she was scared, she said, "I was too busy." That's pretty awesome. Another time, early in her flying career, she was performing a stunt called, get this, the inverted ribbon cut, okay? Where you fly upside down, very low, and cut a handheld ribbon with your wing or your wheels, okay? At just a few feet off the ground, the plane's engine cut out. Somehow Betty managed to snap the aircraft right side up just before her wheels touched the ground. Today, her plane, affectionately known as Little Stinker, isn't that awesome too? Hangs in the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So, speaking of space, it was a place she always wanted to go. But when NASA trained its first astronauts, the Mercury 7, military test pilot experience was a strict requirement. Betty knew this, and yet when Look magazine, remember Look magazine, pitched a story that would put Betty through the rigorous NASA testing and training program, she went along with it for the experience. Now, she passed all the tests with flying colors, and when the new issue of Look came out on February 2nd, 1960, there was Betty on the cover in full astronaut gear. She was known as Mercury 7.5. Yeah, that's amazing. But beyond being a fearless and highly skilled speed addict, Betty was also blessed with an innate understanding of how to project and market herself, and you saw a little bit of it in the video. She was a great communicator, a talented writer for multiple magazines, did a radio show, and appeared on many TV shows, including the Dinah Shore Show. She was also the face of Corvette and Chevrolet. She worked as a Corvette test driver and was closely involved in the car's development. Zora and his engineering team took her input as the expert advice it was. Now, Betty also worked at Campbell Ewald, Chevy's longtime advertising agency, where she became the first female vice president at a major ad agency, truly breaking the glass ceiling. In fact, when she returned to work after her NASA training, it was Betty's great idea for Chevy to put all of the Mercury astronauts into new Corvettes. Remember those pictures? They were truly inspiring for our country, for Corvette, and for Chevrolet. She helped develop and frame the brand's messages and organized and led many drive-in events around the world year after year, all while opening doors for women along the way. In fact, in the mid-60s, she once wrote an essay called Advantages and Disadvantages of Women Working with Men in Business. Pretty much covers it all. It's real Mad Men stuff, right? Now, she included in this, another advertising vice president confided to me that no ambitious man will ever be able to stand the idea of working for a woman. I can tell you firsthand that ad exec was dead wrong, and I think Betty knew he was wrong too. Yep, it's very wrong, very wrong. Yeah. She was way ahead of her time in countless ways, and it's hard to imagine we'll ever see anyone else quite like her, regardless of gender. She accomplished all these things at a time when women didn't or could not do many of the things that she did or were not given that opportunity. In many of her endeavors, she would find that records or even categories for women simply didn't exist. She was an inspiration then, especially for women, and should be still one today for all of us. In 2010, Betty was honored in Daytona by the women of the Winners Circle Foundation and was presented with its Pioneer Award by race car driver Lynn St. James, who is also in this Hall of Fame. Yes, it was a big deal. Upon receiving the award, Betty said, "Thank you so much. I thought people had forgotten." About 6 months later, she passed away at the age of 85. Tonight, we're here to make sure that Betty, her amazing life, her remarkable contributions to the world are always remembered. And I'm grateful to the Automotive Hall of Fame for making this happen and having the honor of presenting this for her tonight. So thank you very much for coming and being here and listening, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about her. She was just a remarkable person for this industry and for our company. Thank you.